तमस्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलास महामोह ग्राह ग्रासैक कर्मणे। Let's chant verses 24, 25 and 26. प्राज्ञस्तत्राभिमानेन तैजसत्वं प्रपद्यते हिरण्यगर्भताम् ईशः तयोर्व्यष्टि समष्टिता। समष्टि ईशः सर्वेषां आत्म्यवेदनात् स्वात्मतादात्म्यमेवेदनात् तदभावात् ततोऽन्ये तु कथ्यन्ते व्यष्टिसंज्ञया तद्भोगाय पुनर्भोग्य आयतन जन्मने पंचीकरोति भगवान् प्रत्येकं व्यदादिकम्। So the aim of the Vedanta Shastra, the methodology, the aim of Vedanta Shastra is to point out to those of us who are willing to listen to something phenomenal. It's hard to believe. The biggest problem I think that the students of Vedanta is that they themselves don't believe it. They don't have any credence towards what the Shastra is saying. And so Shastra has a big challenge on its hands. If you are pointing out something which is even initially very consistent with your own experiences, then it is not a big challenge. You can, like our worldly teachings say that, as the person grows up and you say, we need to tell you about how to maintain good health. Eat more vegetables, and nuts and grains, don't eat meat. So that's easy to understand because that seems to be prevalent way, it's popular and it's easy to relate to. But if I have patterned my life after a certain way of conducting my life, and then the Shastra says, no, you're going in this thing, I didn't say you're going in the wrong direction, but just say this is something totally different from what you think your life is going to be, then the biggest challenge we have, the biggest challenge that Shastra has to get our attention, because it seems so out of the way, so unlike what my life is. So that being the case, the Shastra, the aim, nevertheless, the Shastra, and so really the Vedanta Shastra should be seen as motherly advice, because the motherly advice is the least tainted with any kind of an agenda. Even the father's advice is maybe tainted, because the father may think that he wants you to succeed in life. But the mother doesn't even want you to succeed in life or anything, just want your goodness. Really, this is a very beautiful thing. The creation of mother is just an absolute marvel. Total love, total love. Now, I remember Swami Chinmayananda used to say that. He says, I distinctly recall him saying that. He says, the blessings of your mom and dad, and even your close relatives like brothers and sisters, are so effective, so much more effective than your friends or acquaintances. Why? Because it's pure love. They don't want anything from you. It is just this is just a complete well-wishing you, and so the purity of their desire is very effective in terms of. It's the same. Somebody says happy birthday. You probably get a lot of messages from lots of people, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. But the ones that come from your loved ones, same words, are just amazing. Anyway, that's what he used to say. So that's what Swami Chinmayananda used to say. So the Shastra should be seen as that kind of an advice, because it doesn't want anything back from you. It says, hey, get oriented in the right direction. Look at your longer term welfare. I know you are involved in local temporary welfare, and fine, you do what you want to, but please don't neglect the fact that you've got a long ways to go. It's kind of like a child that is passing through a forested area and gets very entangled with some beautiful flowers and perhaps some friendly animals and so on. So he or she is told, please go ahead, because it's going to be dark pretty soon, and you need to reach your destination, so don't get distracted. Anyway, so that's the message of the Shastra. So what the Shastra wants us to do is to appreciate the similarity between you, the individual, and Ishvara, the total. This is what they want you to do. And there are some minor differences between them, but essentially the quality of Parameshvara are already in me. I just don't appreciate it. I keep it buried under the avalanche of my daily problems and so on and so forth. And so what Shastra wants us to do is to appreciate the similarity. And this is done through words, through words, but it's done through pointing out that, see, don't you see it? And I says, no, I don't see it. He says, listen, look at it this way. Now do you see it? Yeah, but not really. Okay, all right, fine. I understand that. Let's look at it this way. Slowly, it asks us to appreciate the enormity of this similarity. where Jivatma and the Paramatma are seen to be the same, essentially the same, then my life is done. Beautiful. So that being the case, it says, for example, we've often taken the advantage of the room space and the total space and all of that. And but just another very interesting example to keep in mind, because the Shastra does it through examples a lot. So the one example given is that when the sun shines on a bunch of objects, then it doesn't shine reflected equally amongst all the objects. Because if it is reflecting on an opaque surface like a wall, the wall is still lighted by the light of the sun, but you don't see the reflection of the sun in a wall. But if there is a shining, reflecting medium, then the sun shines very brightly in it. And if the reflecting medium happens to be as a clean mirror, then, my goodness, you cannot even look at it. You'll damage your eyes if you look at the reflection of it. It is that powerful, that bright. So the sun is reflected in a mirror which looks exactly like the sun. So in some ways, one can see that the human being is a potential mirror as opposed to animals. Because the reflection is there everywhere. It's not as though it is infected. Even in a wall, the sun is there. And certainly in the minds of the animals, the sun is there. But the potential of seeing the reflection as clearly in the minds of an animal are much less. But in the case of the human being, you can see the reflection with the help of the Shastric teaching. That also is difficult to see initially. But the point here is that the sun reflecting in all these mirrors as a very close copy of itself means that really the reflection of the sun in the mirror is very much like the sun. There's a lot of similarity. There's a lot of dissimilarity. The biggest dissimilarity is that the reflecting sun is not real. And it is not very hot. The light is very bright. The light is so bright that you can damage your eyesight. But it's not very hot. Maybe it has some heat to it, but not that much. So there are some dissimilarities. But appreciate the similarity between the reflection of the sun and the sun. So similarly here also, what is being pointed out is to see the similarity of the Jiva and Paramatma, Ishvara, Jivatma and Paramatma. And really speaking, the Jivatmas are reflection of the Paramatma. So the creation of the entire Jagat, the whole creation, is not by creating something else, but just creating a reflection. And the people, separate individuals and so on, they are not separate from Ishvara. Just like the reflection of the sun are not separate from you cannot count it. You cannot say, today I saw 1 million suns. You may have seen a million suns, but it's the same sun. And so this is the similarity that it is pointing out. So another thing then, to continue with the method, the aim, the objective of the Shastra is now clear. And the objective is to point out the similarity between Jivatma and Paramatma. Now the methodology of pointing out the similarity. So the methodology of pointing out the similarity is, the Shastra generally uses the following method, with some exceptions. Ishavasya Upanishad uses a different methodology, and there's a few Upanishads that use a different methodology. But generally speaking, the Upanishads use the following methodology, which is, it says, examine yourself thoroughly. Look at all aspects of yourself. Namely, look at your existence. What happens to you day and night? Start to dissect your experiences. Look at your Jagrat Avastha. Look at your Swapna Avastha, Sushupti Avastha. And also look at your knowledge. Look at particular knowledges. Knowledge of a table, knowledge of a chair, knowledge, they're different knowledges. And then see the similarity of all the knowledges. The knowledge remains the same, but the object keeps on changing. Appreciate that, samvit. So in doing so, the Shastra starts with the individual and says, before we go to Ishvara, you kindly look at yourself as thoroughly as you can. And there's so many things to do about yourself. You don't have to do all of that. But the essential aspects of looking at your experiences, it already points out, just follow the lead of the Shastra. The three types of experiences, and so on and so forth. Then it shifts its locus, its focus, rather, not locus, but focus. It says, now that you have generally understood what you are made out of, can we now shift the attention to Ishvara and see what Ishvara is made out of? And it turns out that Ishvara is made out of pretty much the same thing as you and I. It has to be. It's the same thing. There's no surprise, should not be a surprise. Oh yes, there are some differences here and there. We'll point out, all those differences will be pointed out. But our focus should be on similarity. So this is the methodology that Shastra uses. And if you look at this first chapter of the Panchadashi that Swami Vidyaranya has written, one should appreciate the intelligence, the order of the author. Every verse is carefully constructed. The order of the verses is very carefully done. It's not just casual. You do first verse, second verse, third verse, and so on and so forth. The whole thing is just so well done. Following the Shruti, the Shastra. That's why when I went through this chapter, I said, wow, this is a very good summary of the main essential aspects of both human beings and Ishvara and so on. So it's a very good course, I think, and one that I think you should master. I keep hoping that you take good notes for yourself and then revise it and get an overall picture and then hopefully share it with others. Get a friend or some people to say, I would like to go through this with you. Teach. And so this is how you would master it. And particularly those of you that are also attending other classes, many of you are doing, like the Mandukya class and so on. It's fine, but we go into a lot of detail on those. But here, this is an overview that solidifies your understanding. So it's a very good text. So with that, verse number 24, as I briefly mentioned last week also, is the one where the template of the jiva is now pretty much complete. Not complete, they still will mention other things also. But now the author, based on the methodology I talked about earlier, shifts the attention of the structure from the jiva to Ishvara. It sort of takes off. It's almost like, when you have a plane, you catch speed by going faster and faster on the ground, and then when you've reached a certain takeoff speed, you can start to fly and then leave the ground. So very much like this also. So let's look at this verse number 24. Pragyah tatra abhimanena taijasatvam prapadyate hiranyagarbhatam ishaha tayoho vyashti samashtita. So it says that just in the first line, just like pragyaha gains the status of taijasam through identification. Pragyaha identifies through the process of identification, gains the status of taijasam. And so just as a reminder, pragyaha is a deep sleeper. Okay, a deep sleeper. It doesn't, while it is in deep sleep, it doesn't know it's a pragyaha. Right? I don't know, I think it was on the Saturday classes we mentioned this point. It's a very interesting point that really speaking, yourself as an individual, me, and sleep don't coexist at the same time. It cannot. Why? Because, and you can see from your own experience, you cannot, for example, supposing you are lying down and then you put the cover on a nice pillow and everything is okay, and you're saying, that's me. I'm now ready to go to sleep. And I want to see when I go to sleep. And in fact, when I go to sleep, I want to see myself going to sleep. You cannot do that. And in fact, the sleep says, fool, get up, give up your my-ness, only then I can come to you. I-ness, I mean, not my-ness, I-ness. And this is exactly what happens. This is why you can, if somebody says, what time did you go to sleep? You cannot be precise. That was the last time you checked the clock, and it was 10 to 11. But between 10 to 11 and when you go to sleep, you have no idea. You have approximate some things. I think I had a little trouble sleeping last night, so it must have been more like 15 minutes. Or today, like that you can do, but no. So the pragyaha is the status of the individual where you have no knowledge of being you. But it's you. You went to sleep. Sometimes it happens between spouses that one spouse says, I am going to go to sleep. I don't care when you are coming to the bed or something like this. Don't disturb me. And so we turned the lights out and so on and so forth, and we tiptoe our way through. It happened last night. Usually my wife actually comes later, but last night she went to sleep very early, and I was doing a lot of work. So I said, okay, you go to sleep. And then I worked for about half hour, and then I made sure that when I go in, I don't disturb her. And so we all have different ways of doing that, but in any case, the pragya is the one that is non-existent at that time. But then Ishvara has made a very interesting design of our life, where each pragya, every time you are a deep sleeper, you now identify with a couple of different manifestations of yourself. One of them is you become Tejasaha. So Tejasaha, as we know, you should know by heart by now, status as a dreamer. And it becomes a dreamer by identification. The pragya becomes a dreamer. And why? Because there are some subtle experiences that the pragya wants to have. And so the whys of it is not completely determinable and not necessary to be determinable. But the main thing is that it happens. It happens. So it becomes a pragya. It becomes a tejasaha. Okay. And you also know, just as a reminder, just a quick summary, the word tejasaha, you should know what the word tejasaha means. So the tejasaha means, can anyone tell? Does anybody? Yes?
Selfless, or the light comes from the Atma.
Yes, exactly.
Illuminating.
Self-illuminating. Self-illuminating. So it is full of tejaha. So there is a light. You need the light to light up your experiences. But the light is not imported. Here in the Jagrat Avastha, maybe you can say the light is imported, because you need the light of the sun to be able to identify with things and so on and so forth. But in dream, the light, which is exactly the same experience pretty much, amazing how similar it is. You cannot distinguish actually. When you are dreaming, your experiences are the same. They have some differences because it happens very quickly. There's no repetition, there is no anuvritti, there's nothing left. Sometimes it actually does have anuvritti also, same dream appears again, but generally not. But the main thing is that the light comes by itself. Anyway, that's the name Tejasaha. Anyway, that's not the main thing I wanted to say. So the first line is pragyaha. So if you look at the English translation, pragyaha, by the identification with the subtle body, becomes Tejasaha. Here's the first line. Now we take off from the jiva to Ishvara. Ishvara, which is given by the word Ishaha, does the same thing in identifying with Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha. And without going into the details of Ishaha at this point, it's not as though, so this is the similarity. The similarity being one thing identifying, becoming another. This is the similarity. But it should not be understood that the Ishvara is also like Pragyaha. Completely has no thoughts whatsoever. Okay? So there are some differences between them. So we will cover that at some other point. And perhaps not even, I don't know, we'll see how the rest of the verses go. But here, the thing to appreciate is that Ishvara identifies with Hiranyagarbha. And so this is the kernel, this is the essence of the total versus the individual. So this is what is called tayoho vyashti samashtita. Vyashti and samashti. These are the two labels given to total and individual. And so here one technical thing you should maybe be aware of, especially if you are interested in Sanskritam. So both Vyashti and Samashti are based on the dhatu ash. And the meaning of ash is vyapanam. Vyapanam means to pervade, to be present everywhere. So just like, for example, the Mahakasha, the total space, which it pervades everywhere, is Samashti. And Ghatakasha means a pot space or a room akasha is Vyashti. And so Sam and Vi. So Vi means Visheshena, means a particular, and Sam means everything. So the total space is Samashti and the room space is Vyashti. So here the Pragyaha and Ishvara are this Vyashti and Samashti. These are the two different ones. So now look at the similarity of them. Just one other thing. Okay, no, one other thing I wanted to point out. Let us look at the word Hiranyagarbha. So the Hiranyagarbha is the totality of all Sukshma Sharira. Because Taijasaha is Sukshma Sharira. Right? There is no Sthula Sharira. It's only thoughts, images, thoughts, and so on. And some of your physiological things also play a part in it, like you're still breathing in deep sleep, in dream state. Your digestion is still going on. So the Sukshma Sharira is still active. But the Sukshma Sharira of Taijasa is particular to you. Your dream, your thoughts, your experiences. This is the Vyashti. Whereas Hiranyagarbha is the totality of all Sukshma Shariras. But a Sukshma Sharira, thoughts, ideas. This is the Hiranyagarbha. Okay, so this is one thing. Also, a quick commentary on why it is called Hiranyagarbha. So Hiranyam, so Garbha means, so let's take out the word Garbha. Garbha means the womb. the womb. So the womb meaning from where your Sukshma Sharira originates. So here we can say that, really speaking, the ocean is the garbha for a particular wave. You say even water, but if you just want to, if we just look at the expression of the water, not just the content of the water, but the expression of the water, shape of water. There's a movie going on, isn't it? The Shape of Water. What is it called?
Yeah, it is Shape of Water.
I know it's won some awards. I keep telling my wife, you have to tell me what it is all about. She says, I'm not sure. And until she's sure, I'm not going to go to that. And so this is our constant thing. She says, I'm not going to tell you about everything. If you want to go, you go. Otherwise, don't go. I'll go with my mom. So in Hindi movie, she goes with her mom. That's total no for me. But English movie, if it is really well described, then I could go to that.
Science fiction.
Is it science fiction? I might go to that. That's not a bad idea. So the wave is, the garbha for the wave is the ocean. So similarly, the garbha for all sukshma sharira is hiranyagarbha, is hiranyagarbha. And we have talked about this before, but perhaps not in this course, maybe even in this course. This is an important thing to see, that the creation of the whole jagat, the whole creation, is of this type, where the garbha is the totality and the expression is the individuality. It is not that the total is a sum of the parts. No. And the totality, and so in a way the several things to be talked about is the totality, which is samashti, and the individuality are essentially the same. Like a wave and the ocean are essentially the same. They're both made out of the same content. It's just the reference point is different. And in fact, the wave can even rightly point out, I am the whole Indian Ocean. It just depends on the identification. It's not wrong to say that. And so the Hiranyagarbha is the totality. Now the word Hiranya. So here, Swami Maheshananji pointed out that Hiranya is the word for gold. Hiranya means gold. And gold has two qualities that stand out amongst all of the metals. One is called hitam, and the other one is ramaniyam. Hitam and ramaniyam is the qualities of gold. So ramaniyam means very pleasant to look at, shining, always shining, doesn't lose its luster. This is ramaniyam, very pleasant, everybody wants it. The other one is hitam. Hitam meaning which is good for you. Good for you in the sense that it has a value which is unquestioned. Your Modi ji was eliminated the 1,000 rupee note, So if you put your 1,000 rupee notes in and you kept them in your Almirah, gone. Gold cannot be demonetized. A gold is a gold. This is what happens. You deal with Indian rupees, and then you come to US and you try to buy something in Indian rupees. They'll say, "What is this? Never seen of that. Just go away. Next person in line, please." But if you have a gold coin, it is hitam. You can go to any bank. So the Hiranyam is called Ramaniyam and Hitam. And this whole creation is both Hitam as well as Ramaniyam. Why is in Swami Maheshananji there is such a sense of humor? He says, you know why it is so Ramaniyam? It is so Ramaniyam. Ramaniyam means that it is so attractive. It is so attractive that you get hold of some people and say, by the way, I have something very valuable to tell you. You are the very essence of Ishvara. And by knowing this, you will reach moksha. So are you listening to me? He says, well, not right now. Not right now, maybe later. Why not right now? Well, I have to have lunch with my friend. This is called Ramaniyam. The Jagat is very attractive to you. So Swami Maheshananji says, we cannot extract you away from the Jagat. It is how attractive it is. If it was not attractive, supposing it was giving you such problem, you'll say, okay, Baba, whatever you are telling me, I'm coming with you. Doesn't happen. We have one excuse of the other. Hey, why didn't you come to the class today? Oh, yesterday, it was my niece's birthday. And then, okay, next week I'm tired. That's it. Ramaniyam. And it is also Hitam. Why is it Hitam? It should not be Hitam. It should not be Hitam. Your focus on the Jagat you yourself said it's not good, you should go back to an understanding of the Ishvara. It is Hitam because you were born with a bunch of desires that you want to fulfill. And in fact, the next few verses are going to show how the world is made so that it fulfills your desires. You came into the world. You didn't come into the world by saying, okay, I'm here, what am I supposed to do? No. Immediately you start crying. I want food. I want my mother. And so on. And so immediately then you want this, then you want that. And then, what was it? I like this saying by some Westerner which says that the one who dies with the maximum number of toys by him wins. This is exactly what the situation is. You look at these 85, 90-year-old people and they're still trying to say, I've got so many companies. This guy, what's his name? This owner of Fox, this Australian or English guy. Rupert Murdoch. So you should say, what is your life? What do you do? He says, I don't know, I'm busy. What else do you? I have to buy some more companies. I have to sell Wall Street Journal. Then I've got to buy this, Fox, this, that, or the other. A lot of desires. From day one to day end, desires fulfilling. The world gives you the ability to fulfill your desires. So this is what is called Hiranyagarbha. Anyway, so Ishvara, through its Maya Shakti, expresses the Jagat. It creates a world. And important one is the Sukshma Sharira. As we saw in last time also, that the Sukshma Sharira represents the Jiva. That's the real person. Because your body, which is Sthula Sharira, is incidental and very temporary. It's only 60, 70 years. Sukshma Sharira goes with you for a long time, millions of years. There's no comparison between scale. And in fact, really speaking, the body is an excuse to transact with others. If you didn't have a body, I don't know whether you're here or not. Because even for a voice, you may be here, but you cannot talk, because to talk you need a tongue. So to express yourself, you need a tongue. For a transaction, for shaking hands, you need a body. But otherwise, it is incidental. The main thing is that you are the main software behind the body. You have a personality, you have thoughts, you have likes, dislikes, aspirations. And so really Hiranyagarbha and so Virat is just a necessary incidental thing that the Ishvara has to create. You cannot have software without having some kind of a computer. But the main thing is the software. So anyway, so the first identification is with Hiranyagarbha at the very beginning. And so one interesting thing here to see, and in fact this is how people do not understand Vedanta. A lot of the other schools of thought, including our friends Jains and so on, they say, wait a second, are you telling me that Hiranyagarbha is the samashti of all the people? So we say, yup, that's what it is. They say, aha, do you have problems or not in your life? So we said, yeah, we have lots of problems. He says, yep, good. That means Hiranyagarbha has even more problems than you can even think of. Because, this is pure arithmetic. Your problem plus your problem plus your problem plus your problem plus your problem is Hiranyagarbha's problem. So if you think we have some individual problems, imagine this guy who is in sad shape. What's your answer to that? That's why Vedanta doesn't make sense. That's why they say. So we say no. Because here, lots of examples are given. One is that supposing you have an army that is winning, that is busy with the war. And in the conduct of the war, some soldiers die. And their families are affected and so on and so forth. Some people get hurt and so on and so forth. But the army wins. Like the India-Pakistan war, both the wars, we had a lot of casualties, but we won. Okay? So if you look at the army commander, the army chief, or even the politicians, or even the regular citizens of India that identify with the army, they sympathize with individual dukkhas. But the totality is that we won. And we are very happy about it. Very happy about it. So it doesn't mean that the individual dukkhas of each soldier is percolating up. It doesn't mean that you don't sympathize with some of the people that have died. And they've also died with good intentions. And in fact, they are going to be well rewarded in Swarga. Absolutely. This is a well-known that if you die in the service of the country, that's an immediate, you have a very good experience in Swarga for a long time. You can't do enough charity work and this, that, or the other to qualify for it. You'll be standing first in line. Very well known. So it's, they'll be okay. They'll be okay. So that doesn't mean that, again, this is what's important, is that the creation is a tops-down creation, not a bottoms-up creation. If it was a bottoms-up, then you will see that the overall dukkha at the samashti level will be a sum total of the vyashti dukkha. No. No. So this the other schools of thought do not understand, and they do that. Okay, so this is one thing. Then the next thing is, this is an important thing to see. Where are we in terms of time? That the identification of a pragya into a taijasa is all mired in ajnanam, ignorance, isn't it? Because you are actually going from a total ignorance to partial ignorance, almost a complete ignorance also from a deep sleep to a dream state. Dream state also, you are imagining things as they are not. This is the very nature of the dream. So you are tinged with ajnanam, and in fact you suffer. You have a lot of problems in dreaming. Forget about the problems in Jagrata Avastha. Even in dream you have problems. You have dukkha, somebody is attacking me, this, that, didn't do the job, this, that, or the other. All kinds of things. And so, if you say there is similarity between vyashti and samashti, then on vyashti, on the first line, pragyas tatra abhimanena taijasatvam prapadyate, you are tinged with ajnanam. Are you telling me that Ishaha also is tinged with ajnanam as identifies with the Hiranyagarbha? Good question if somebody were to ask. No. No, because it means that there is a creation without being confused by it. Without being confused by it. In fact, I was just thinking, I don't know how I was thinking. I'll give you some other examples, but the example that struck me is, you have these heavyweight fights on television, which are all make-believe. What are they called? There's a name for it.
Worldwide wrestling?
Worldwide wrestling or something like this. It's a fascinating thing. You should see it sometimes. And so there are these big fellows with muscles and weights, and they fall on top of the other, and they pull each other's hair. And sometimes even blood comes out, and so on and so forth. But you know what? It's all make-believe. And I don't know when, how many people, it's just kind of like, in Christmas time, when Santa Claus, it's very interesting to see which age the kids figure out there is no Santa Claus, it is by mom and dad. Up to a certain point, they want to believe. It's very interesting. I think they're all different depending upon the majority level of the. But at a certain point, you say, yes, there is Santa Claus. Then they start thinking, this fat Santa Claus cannot come inside our chimney. How does he come inside the house? They start thinking. So then they say, I had told my mom I wanted this 2 months ago, and that's what it is. So they put 2 and 2 together. And the mothers, fathers keep on saying, "Oh, no, no, there is a Santa Claus, there's a Santa Claus." But the kid finally figures it out. And then the only thing that happens is if they have a younger sibling, they don't share that with them. They keep on pretending, yes, there is a Santa Claus, because they don't want to spoil the fun of that. So similarly, this world wrestling is like that. There may be some people who think this is for real, but you know what? There is a lot. I bet if Swami Maheshananji had seen it, he would have given this as an example. Honestly, this world wrestling. So Ishvara has an identification with Hiranyagarbha, but not due to ignorance. Not due to ignorance. It's a play, he's aware of that, and it just happens. And so it's interesting, he gave another very interesting, very beautiful example. He said, you know, sometimes you get a picture of Rama. And in fact, he says another word, you know, you get these annual calendars. You get these calendars where there is a beautiful picture of Rama and Sita and Lakshmana, and you like it so much. From January 1, you say, this is going to be my picture. I'm going to just, and you actually put some chandanam on it, you do puja, and you do this, Rama, hey Rama, this, that, or the other, and so on. And one day, somehow the calendar gets torn. And you feel, oops, the calendar gets torn. But you don't say that Rama has died. It was a pretend Rama, and it was due to your own loyalty that you enjoyed it. But if the kids, they were started fighting and then they tore it, it's okay. It's okay. So similarly to that is the situation where the identification of Hiranyagarbha is knowingly, or the magic plays where the magician is not involved with that, or the movies. Movies is a very beautiful example, really. If the movies were there in these old days, then this will be the first example given. That if you have, as I think one of my favorite examples is that if your mom or sister or someone is playing in a play where she's beaten up, and then you have let's say a 3-year-old who cannot tolerate her mom being beaten up. But if you have an 11 or 12-year-old child who says, oof, I know it's okay, she's getting a lot of money for it. Her mother has explained it to her. Listen, keep track of your child, your younger sister, and don't let her see me. And so one day they went to see the movie, and the babysitter was not the babysitter was not available. So the mother said, "Okay, come along, but don't be upset. There's going to be a lot of scenes and so on." The 3-year-old does not understand that this is a play. My mother is not really getting beaten up. Yes, there is the semblance of it and so on, but doesn't understand. This is exactly what it is. Our identification with Taijasa is real because it is tinged with ignorance. Whereas in Ishvara's case, the phenomena is the same, but there is no real problem. There's no oops involved in that. So that's the difference between them. Okay, let's go to number 25. 25 is a rather simple one that extends number 24, so explains it. Samashti Ishaha Sarvesham Swatmata Tadatmya Vedanat, due to the identity with oneself, becomes Samashti. And then Tad Abhavat Tato Anyetu Katyante Vyashti Samyaya. So let's look at the English translation. Hiranyagarbha, due to the knowledge of identity with Taijasa, with oneself, becomes a macrocosm, whereas on account of the lack of it, those who are other than Hiranyagarbha are called by Diva microcosm. There's nothing much to this. This is pretty much simple than number 26 is much more. We may not be able to finish it, but let's start on it because we need to keep going. Tad bhogaya punarbhogya bhogayatanam janmane panchi karoti bhagavan prati ekam vyadadikam. So, Bhagavan, Ishvara, punaha, thereafter, tat bhogaya, for their experience of the individuals, bhogya bhogayatanam janmane, for the creation of sense objects and gross embodiments, vyadadikam, the 5 elements beginning with space, etc., is panchikaroti, grossified by the process of 5-fold self-division and mutual combination, phenomena, which we will study in more detail next time on the next verse. It actually explains the phenomena. Dvidha vidhaya cha ekam chaturdham prathamam punaha, etc. So we will do all of that, but let's just look at the overall sense of what is being talked about. So here several things to look at. Perhaps what we might do is to break down the word Bhagavan today, which we have done for the experienced students. They already know this, but this being a more fundamental course, may be new to some people. So let's look at the word Bhagavan. So Bhagavan or Ishvara is one and the same. But the word Bhaga is a technical word. So the word Bhagavan means the one that has Bhaga is called Bhagavan. So the word Van means the one that has it. Like, for example, Shriman. Shriman means one that has a lot of wealth. Or Buddhiman. So Van and Man are about the same. There are some technical differences because of grammatical changes. But Buddhiman means that one that has the Buddhi. So Bhagavan means that has the word Bhaga. Again, there is a difference between the Jiva and Ishvara. Jiva has the same Bhagas, but in partial, incomplete measure, whereas Ishvara has Bhaga in complete measure. What is Bhaga? It is defined as Aishwaryasya samagrasya dharmasya yashasah shriyaha jnana vairagyam iti esham shannam bhaga irita. Itirina. So by these 6 qualities, the word Bhaga is defined. Itirina means it is defined. What are the 6 qualities? Aishwaryam, Samagram, Dharmaha, Yashaha, Shriyaha, Jnana, and Vairagyam. These are the 6 ones. And since we are doing the fundamental course, let's just quickly look at each one of them. And it's very possible we may not be able to finish it today, so we'll take it up next time. So on the verse number 26, right now we will just do Bhagavan. And then the sense of bhoga will perhaps do next time. For sure we will do next time. So let's go back to bhaga. So Aishwarya means the total ability to be the boss is called Aishwaryam. Ishvara, we've already seen that. And you remember, I don't know if we talked about it, sometimes I get confused as to which class I talked about it. So I may not have done this. You remember the two types of Ishaha? Was it in this class?
No, the morning, Mandukya.
Mandukya. I don't know. Maybe I talked. Anyway, there are two ways of being a boss. One way is by force, by having the authority. You are told that from tomorrow morning you have a new boss, and that is your colleague from yesterday, who you were slapping and so on, but tomorrow he is your boss. So now you look at him or her differently because of the authority. The other way is, maybe I told you this, I don't know, but let me explain that, maybe it will come back to you, is where you do it naturally. Did I not say in this class, which is magnet? Maybe not. People are not.
It is in Saturday class. The Mandukya.
Mandukya class. So the second way of being a boss is you have the natural ability, what is called samarthyam. Samarthyam means you have a natural ability to attract and be the boss. So the magnet is the boss not because of force. If you are a iron filing, you cannot but be attracted. Another example, beautiful example, was that of a light attracting the various bugs at night time. So Ishvara is in fact that kind of, and I'm getting into more detail. You know what the quality of Ishvara is that is naturally attracting to you, which brings you towards Ishvara? Ananda is joy. So the joy is the ability by which Ishvara naturally becomes your boss. Why? How can you say that? Just think about it. It's so beautiful that we are naturally attracted to joy. Nobody has to be taught. And there's no differences in people. How we are attracted is a different thing. But the fact that we are attracted means that that's our core. That is how Ishvara, bosses over us. So now I just want to contrast the Ishvara versus Jiva. Jiva also is a boss, but not for everybody and not at all times. You can boss your 3-year-old and say, I told you to not do this, that, or the other. And you can scold that person. Or you can have a bossism on your ants on your kitchen. Shall we kill this? Yeah, I think it's too much problem to take them out. You decide. But try being a boss of your spouse. Don't even try. You have to go out of here to pretend I am not your boss, even though you would like it to be. So our bossism is very limited. Ishvara's bossism is very natural and all pervasive. Every being wants to be protected. It doesn't want to be decimated. Every being wants to eat to make sure I'm happy and is protected. So the Ananda is a very natural attraction of all beings. This is what is called Aishwarya. Samagrasya. So Samagraha means totally. The word Samagra is not one of the 6 qualities. Right? So the 6 qualities are Aishwarya, Dharmaha, Yashaha, Shriyaha, Jnana and Vairagyam. These are the 6 qualities. And for Bhagavan it is Samagra. But for a Jiva it is Asamagra. There must be another word for it that I cannot think of it. I'm not a big scholar of Sanskrit. But it is a limited. So the human beings are a limited reflection of Ishvara. So this is Aishwarya. Let's see if I can go one more. Then we will give it a... It might be interesting to see this just for a second. So another thing of the Aishwaryam, another way of looking at Aishwaryam is that Ishvara is the only one who determines your karma phala. Only one. This is a very interesting and important thing to see. So this can be, what I will, I am a little doubtful is whether the word of the karma phalatvam is only Aishwaryam or is it also connected to the other one? So if you give me that, I'll clarify that in my own mind. But let's look at the phenomena. So here's a very interesting thing, and it really was made clearer to me by Swami Maheshananji's teaching. He said, supposing you are standing in front of a wall, and which happens all the time with the kids, that you throw a rubber ball, also is predictability. In other words, for example, sometimes, supposing you throw a ball and it hits